Welcome back. Listen Up is looking at the search for the miraculous. And we're going to bring the story of an accountant who says he found it. But first, a few impressions on Saint Andre and the miracles his prayers left behind.
He listened to people, and most of all, he said that we must have respect for people that have different beliefs and come from different traditions.
Brother Andre showed us that to be holy and to be faithful means we have to be really plugged into God in a constant dialogue with God.
He was such a popular figure, so easy to identify with. This little man, you know, who just wanted to do everything to help people to get better, not just physically, but spiritually.
Because Father Andre always said, people come to ask me healings, and nobody never asked me humility, so I come to ask that.
Brian Cordero knows what it's like to be desperate for a miracle.
Our journey began actually the day we got married in 1981, so that's close to 30 years ago. And we wanted to have children right from that time, as many Christian couples do. However, God had other plans, and so years went by, months went by, and there was disappointment. Somewhere around 6 years after marriage, we began to wonder what's going on.
That launched the Corderos into a search for answers that would end with a tragic diagnosis: infertility.
And so that's why we decided to immigrate to Canada. Originally, I come from a Portuguese colony in India, and we were running away from the fact that we couldn't have children. So we came here in 1989, so that's close to 8 years after we got married, basically to escape the fact that we couldn't have children.
Shortly after arriving in Montreal, Brian and Effie set out to explore the city by foot. They came across the building founded by Brother Andre as a tribute to the father of Jesus, St. Joseph's Oratory. One of the world's most visited religious sites, the oratory attracts nearly 2 million pilgrims a year, many of them people looking for a miracle. Row upon row of crutches left behind bear silent witness to the reality that countless people believe they got their miracle.
We walked in, and then we saw all those crutches and all the people who had been healed, and it sparked in us again a hope that maybe we could have children. We had prayed in every church that we had visited, like St. Peter's in Rome, St. Paul's in London, and churches all over. We prayed that day on July 16th, 1989, the first time we visited the oratory. And together we prayed for our children, which is something we hadn't done before. Was sort of a silent thing that we prayed individually, but not jointly as a couple.
Whether it was the place or the prayer, no one can say. But within weeks, Effie Cordero learned she was pregnant.
She asked her doctor, when do you think the child was conceived? And the doctor checked out the charts and the details, and she said it was probably July 15th or 16th. 16th was the day we had first visited the oratory for the first time.
9 months later, their first child, a son, was born. This miracle birth, and how do you know it is a miracle birth?
Andre Joseph, my eldest son, is named after Brother Andre and Saint Joseph because he was conceived after 8 years of marriage, and after 6 years, my wife had actually had an ovary and a tube removed because of the endometriosis, and the other was massively damaged. And even the surgeon who conducted the surgery and who had to call me from the operating room to take my permission to remove the ovary and the tube, a Hindu doctor, when she went back and told her, Dr. Das, I'm pregnant, and she said, wow, that's a miracle.
The Corderos would go on to have 2 more boys, but after that fateful day in 1989, when they first visited the oratory, life would never be the same. Neither would their faith in God, nor their conviction that He loved them, that He had heard their prayer and granted them a miracle.
I was born into a Catholic background and have been close to God pretty much since my birth, but it was something up here in the mind, and They say the distance from here to the heart is a short one, but can take quite some time. For me, the fact that God showed me clearly that this was something I couldn't do by myself unless God intervened through the intercession of Brother Andre, that changed my life completely, and Effie for sure. So that's where our journey began.
Returning to St. Joseph's Oratory today is a different sort of experience for Brian. His prayers are ones of gratitude for God's received mercies.
Well, this was the point where we really hoped that we too could have a family, just like the one that is shown here. St. Joseph, the one who takes care of families. And here we see St. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. And that little image of Mary with Jesus gave us hope that we too could have our own family one day.
I think this conversation the nation has had about St. Andre may start some people wondering, how do I begin to know Jesus? How do I find my Savior? What would be your recommendation to them?
I think our relationship with Jesus always starts with something that's very personal. The personal part starts with our conversation with God in prayer. Every day, through our own personal time with God, through our reading of the Bible, through our reaching out to people around us, because sometimes Jesus meets us even the people who come to us in our lives. In addition, I think it's very important for us to see the occasions in our life where God really spoke to me. For me, that was the miracle of my sons. And so I try to remember that often, because in the times when I'm down, if I remember that, it keeps my faith strong. Each of us has some sort of experience. It may be in my own life, it may be in the life of a member of my family or a friend, but there's been some point where God usually is, okay, you can see that was God. If we can try to remember those occasions and keep them, that's a very good base for coming back, having a strong faith and belief in Jesus Christ.
When we return, the top reason why people believe in miracles. That's next in The Wrap.